FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Well, Barack Obama's election in 2008, a victory greatly aided by Oprah Winfrey's endorsement, leads us to reconsider why the Hollywood right has been more successful in the world of electoral politics than the Hollywood left. So let me give you a few explanations and then I'll stop. I think there have been three key reasons. The first is that conservatives have a better storyline than Democrats. From Louis B. Mayer to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Hollywood right has told a compelling story of American triumphalism. America is the greatest nation in the world. What else do you need to know? Few citizens want to hear a Jane Fonda, a Warren Beatty, or a Sean Penn point out everything that's wrong with the United States. They like to hear about God, faith, country, and hope. Now, Democrats and Republicans both want a better world, but the right plays to emotions and employs fear-mongering to sell its stories, and fear has usually had a greater impact on voters than hope, but not always. Barack Obama understood the importance of storyline, and he steered clear of unsuccessful Democratic narratives of hope and guilt. And instead, he shifted his party's mantra to hope and change we can believe in. Well, secondly, the right's success can be attributed to structural factors. The left has a harder time because it works to initiate reform while the right works to maintain the status quo. And it is always easier to maintain the status quo than to shift the balance of power. Indeed, in the United States' 250-year history, the eras of major reform, like the 1830s, Civil War, Progressive Era, New Deal in the 1960s, have been the minority, the exception rather than the world. That laissez-faire ideology has been the dominant structural ideology of American government, not an activist state. And finally, a third factor has to do with image. Like the stories they tell, the role movie stars play can have an important impact on voters. Murphy and Reagan's good guy cinematic image allowed them to fare far better with the voting public than their left counterpart. Now, both men were affable Midwesterners who represented the kind of entertainment values favored by those disgusted with stars whose politics and lifestyles seemed out of touch with ordinary Americans. And in 1964, many California voters still remembered Murphy as the nice guy who danced with Shirley Temple, and Reagan had an equally wholesome quality. And while he was certainly part of Hollywood, he belonged to its conservative, more Christian, anti-communist wing. Well, the Hollywood right's success in electoral politics should not obscure the important impact that the Hollywood left has had on political life. The left preferred pursuing issues and movements of broad national importance rather than running for high political office. And they often did so at times when many of the causes they preferred were highly unpopular. They helped publicize the dangers of Hitler in the 1930s and 40s. They helped expand the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. They helped lead anti-war movements in the 1960s, 1970s, and 2000. And they advanced social and political movements that advocated a more open and tolerant society in the late 20th and early 21st centuries.